Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. The double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of the video is Serious Rifts in Relations Between EU Nations. All right, and basically just going to the fact that, these nations are divided. All right, and is being talked about more and more, right? And the world is basically saying and seeing what the prophets have been saying since the beginning, since they began to speak this word. All right, going back to the 1960s, starting with our elder apostles, all right, to this point now. This is Habakkuk 2:1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say to me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. Because Habakkuk was wondering, asking and inquiring of the Lord Yahweh Bashmawashah about things to come. It says, and the Lord Yahweh Bashmawashah answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. All right, so if you can't understand these words, it's because the Most High Yahweh Bashmawashah has blinded you, right, to the understanding of this information, because you're 2/3. All right, only the elect is going to receive this word, right? He has given his word, to Jacob, to the Israelites, not to the other nations. But in this time now, he has given his word unto the elect, right? That's going to be beamed up and saved from the deliverance of the nuclear missiles. So he has given his word to his prophets, right? That has, the 100% truth, the correct message, and they're running with the message and warning and prophesying to the world of the things to come. Everyone has a judgment, right? Every nation has a judgment. Our people have a judgment, 2/3, different people. All right. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry. Wait for it because it will surely come. It will not tarry. All right. And now we're starting to see the fruit, or let's just say more fruit, because the biggest thing is that us getting this word, us coming back to who we are as a people, right? We discontinue from who we were as a people. Esau, Edom beat the living hell out of us to get that understanding, out of us. Going back to what is Psalms 83, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. But now we know exactly who we are, what we've been through while we're here and where we're going. All right, so that vision, started in the 1960s when the truth came back. All right, Most High Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua put the breath back into us, right, and we started to understand who we are. But from that point to this point, a whole lot has taken place. Many prophecies, just us gathering together, just the whole system of Esau, Edom, getting dominance around the world. Of course, they've been pretty much had that, but we seen how they pretty much established themselves. Right? Even those prophecies had to take place. The scriptures say that, Babylon have been the golden cup in the Lord's hand, and we see that this devil has controlled the whole world. Right? He pushed his power across the whole world by putting his embassies and bases, military bases, and these different laws. Scriptures say about peace shall he destroy many, and that's what he did. That's why people are what are they doing right now? They're getting sanctioned. This man just did another global 15%, a global 15% sanction on the whole world. That it's a global sanction. I have to look more into it, but is that for every single person? That man, a global sanction of 15%. All right, that's what Donald Trump has just put on the world. At first it was 10. I guess he got upset and made it 15. So many prophecies had to come to pass. America being that golden cup, right? Setting up the NATO, the EU, right? World War One, World War II had to come to pass. All right. Russia, being built back up from the USSR, we see that took place, right? We see there in Israel, right? The enemy has said, aha, even the high ancient places are ours. And, that they had the land, Jerusalem had to be trodden down of Gentiles. All right, different prophecies. Right now we're getting into these different famines and pestilence and things like that coming to pass. Right, even us, even us going to slavery was prophecy before we knew who we were. Right after Esau beat it out of us, we was in slavery. We didn't know who we were. Right, being called by words and things like that. All right, niggers, spicks, these different words they want to give us, wetbacks, wherever the hell they wanted to call us, it was Bible prophecy that these things would happen to us. All right. So that had to come to pass, just like, everything else that got to come to pass. Esau's destruction, ultimately, his ass getting burned up after 1,000 years or double hardcore bondage slavery in the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Right. So, we still got a few more prophecies to take place. Um, and we have to fill out, fulfill the prophecy of just living forever. That's going to be an ongoing prophecy in the kingdom. Getting immortal bodies and living. We of course we're gonna hold Yahweh Bashmi Awashai to it. Hey, look, hey, you said forever. I know it's been 1,000,000 years, but you know. So Habakkuk 2:3 says, "For the vision is yet from the appointed time that the end shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." So what we want to do right now is the vision of this beast system. All right, the whole world is talking about it now. This is not something that was talked about before. Things are being talked about now that was not talked about before, right? And this is Bible prophecy, and it goes back to what the prophets have always been saying. All right, before anyone thought about it, when everyone's talking about, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you know, you're crazy. You need a tinfoil hat. People telling brothers to go get a job. Why are you outside? Now they outside marching and shit with no jobs. We get to the point, Matthew 12:25, it says, "And Yahweh Shai knew their thoughts and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand." Now, this devil built himself a house. The scriptures say that he will rebuild, right? But the Most High will throw down. All right, and that's what's taking place. Was it Malachi 1? This devil has rebuilt. Malachi 1:4 says, "Whereas Edom saith, We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places." That's what he did. He had to build himself back up. The Renaissance period, around the 1400s, coming over here to this land, a ripe land flowing with milk and honey. You see what the fuck he did to it now? This shit is polluted. All right? He built himself up during the 50-year plus free slave labor from the best people on earth. All right? To help build up his kingdom, fight in his wars, win his battles. All right. Yeah, because you got Jake in the army. Jake got medals. You got Jake into right now stepping down from high ranking positions in this devil army because skill, right? This devil hating us so much. How the hell these individuals make it to these high ranking positions among their military? Is because we're just the best. All right, but he built up, right? He got his allies. Many people joined with him. EU, NATO. All right. Even countries that's not a part of EU and NATO, show reverence to this man. Everyone want to be like America because they think it's great. Because that's what they show in their media, and things like that. Like this is the best place on earth. All they show is like, the one part of that beach, where it's just a little baddie walking, little pink outfit, skin shining, the waves behind, might be a dolphin in the back, whatever the case may be. They don't show the rest of it, right? Malachi 1:4 says, "Whereas Edom said, We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi shall host, it shall build, but I will throw down." So this is the Most High Yahweh Bashmi shall throwing down. All right, the scriptures say, "Blessed are the eyes that see the things you see, and the ears that hear the things you hear." Because many prophets, wanted to hear and see these things. Roughly paraphrasing, we're seeing the end. Right? That it's a joyful thing to see the fall of one's enemies. All right, and pursuant to Psalms 83, all these heathen are our enemies, beginning with Esau, Edom, right? The most wicked, the most wicked. All right, and the Most High is thrown down, and we can clearly see that. And that's why Esau's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. And everything that he's doing right now is leading towards the end, leading him into many snares and traps, right into Bible prophecy where he gets destroyed. Says, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh shall have indignation forever. All right. So this devil has built himself a house, that's a system, right? And that is that the EU and the NATO, right, and his laws and things that he put out there, UN, because the international court and things like that. None of them people, the UN, international court, the law of the seas and all that shit. No one is checking, Benjamin Netanyahu, right? No one's checking Donald Trump and the things that he's doing. I mean, now they kind of, trying to say something, right? As the divisions increase, but this devil put these things into place, and ultimately it's for him. All right, like the laws and things that this devil put in place is really to keep the people around him in check. All right, the scriptures say he is not in trouble as other men. That's why Jeffrey Epstein is somewhere in Tel Aviv playing Fortnite right now, walking around with bodyguards. Ghislaine Maxwell looking like a whole different person, on TV now. They're not in trouble as other men, but they are, because they're in trouble with Yahweh, Bashmel Rashad. That's why the elder Pastor Hart says all the time, "You in big trouble," right? It says, and Yahweh Shai, Matthew 12:25, and Yahweh Shai knew their thoughts, and said unto them, "Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand?" Yeah, because this devil, obviously it wasn't him, because look how easy he's thrown it all away. He built all of this. This it ain't happened overnight. Many wars were fought, to get to where he's at. And this man been in office. He be saying, it's only been, such and such, and I've accomplished so much. You damn right. And that's why the scripture say in 1 hour, such riches is coming not. So, the missile is going to be the end all be all, just to finish it off. But this devil is, destroying his alliances and everything else, his money system, right? Because he think he got some master plan. So he's casting out his allies and things like that to try to accomplish this new system. And it's causing division, right? And along with this Epstein list that's lifting up the skirt, of these devils in power, and what they do. This is the TASS, a Russian news agency. Something I found interesting right here. This man, it says the Nord Stream gas pipeline may resume work with U.S. participation daily. You gotta check it out. It's like, and that's why you want to Habakkuk 2 again, where it says this man don't keep at home. This man is negotiating whether or not they can build or rebuild the pipeline, and that he's gonna be the one to cover it basically. And that Nord Stream pipeline was something that Russia was doing, and now Trump is trying to say, okay, yeah, we'll negotiate if you can rebuild it, but I'm gonna control the flow of it. It just makes no sense. It says Habakkuk 2:5, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. That the wine goes into his policy, his laws, and he has accomplished much, right? A lot with his policy and his laws to obtain the things that he wants. Even going to the fact that these devils took control of the money system, and made it so that you could only, do certain things around the dollar. The whole world is based off the dollar. So you can imagine how prideful this devil is. It says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. who enlarges his desire as hell. This devil think he can do anything. All right, he just got free reign to walk around the earth and just say some shit and do something. It says, who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. That's what he wants. This man's over there in Russia telling Russia, like, listen, yeah, we're going to negotiate if you can do the pipeline, but I'm going to control it, though. You can build it, pay for it. I'm going to control it. Habakkuk 2 says, shall not all these take but parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, or which is that debt? That's why the devil can't afford to build a pipeline. He's going to let Russia build it, but he want to control it. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee in a wake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Yeah, so these people, they're gonna be fed up, the more these things continue. But anyway, it says former Russian PM points to serious rifts in relations between EU nations. Now, like I said, these are things that wasn't talked about before, at least by the mainstream media. This was always talked about by the prophets of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Awashai from the beginning without of the apostles, even unto this point now, right? Nothing has changed. All right, we all speak the same thing, It says the structure of the European Union, and this is important, which we'll get into, is because these nations are going to join with Russia and leave America, and they're going to play a part in destroying America, right? That's why it's important. It says the structure of the European Union has already shown serious risks due to economic problems and political disagreements. The Most High Yahweh Bashmi pursuant to Isaiah 19 confounded the counsel of these devils, right? The cruel Lord, and the people around him are not making the correct decisions the right way, right? The scriptures say, Revelations 12 and 12, that they'll move with great wrath because they know they have a short time. So how they're doing things is not how they normally would do things. They didn't ease, people into this situation. They're just doing it. They try to save themselves. All right. It's like a fatal wound that you need to fix immediately, right? But there's no healing of thy bruise. So it says, the European Union has already shown serious rifts due to economic problems and political disagreements among member states. And that's because of the shit that Trump is doing. They came and deal. Hey, they cold as hell. First of all, going back to that Nord Stream pipeline, they did that to try to stop Russia, and it was benefiting the EU, and things like that. Like they hurt themselves, really. Russia good. You think about it, like there's like the Hebrew Israelites, we're not from no side. We're just gonna call it how it is and speak the truth about what it is, because pursuant to the prophecies. And Russia is good. Right, the EU and NATO was fed up with this horde, right? America for telling them to, sanction Russia and don't buy from Russia. And meanwhile, it ain't doing shit to Russia. It's fucking them up though. It says, European Union has already shown serious rifts due to economic problems and political disagreements among member states. Russia's former prime minister, Sergei, told TASS. As for the European Union, indeed, serious rifts, and that's the division. Serious rifts are already seen. The whole world sees it. All right? Serious rifts are already seen. This stems from the country's different approaches to Russia in this special operation. Well, that's one aspect of it, because you got some of these EU people, that's not really caring no more. Germany, Turkey is like trying to see what's up, Italy, France, all of these little spots. UK says serious economic problems have surfaced in particularly all of the EU's countries. He said when asked about the European Union's potential collapse. He's saying, yeah, they definitely gonna collapse. You're listening to America, you're gonna collapse. You on the verge of collapse. And mind you, this wasn't like that before. They started bleeding funds into the Ukraine war, right? Trying to keep up Ukraine because that was the plan that they wanted to do. Now they pretty much lost that, and Trump left. Trump was like, okay, well, I'm out. I'm not helping y'all. I'm not sending money. I'm not doing nothing. You know, he's probably doing the bare minimum. As an example, he cited the situation in Germany. Germany used to be the heart of the European Union. Helmut and Angela were the founders of the European Union, and we see what is happening there now. Yeah, they trying to leave. You know, people's like breaking up from this thing. You know, and you know, America's not respecting the union. It says Frederick Merck's rating is near 10%. You know, that's uh this right here. I pulled it up, just like his rating for the people. It says based on polling data from late 2025, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has faced a severe decline in popularity. And the point is, every hand of the wicked is coming upon them too, right? Because they're doing what their masters told them to do. Mind you, the master of this NATO and EU is America. So they did what America told them to do, but it's backfired. All right, now these people are about to lose their positions. All right, this is Job 20 and 22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in disgrace. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And this word wicked here goes into the word laborer, the working class. And all around the world, the working class, mile, right? The working class is suffering. It says laborer, sufferer, wretched one, labor, working. So the working class toiling, they're working, trying to pay their bills. You know, meanwhile, shit is going up, prices of food, rent, you know, all the healthcare, all these things are going up because of the different decisions that they have to make and do, and the different loans that these countries are taking out to try to pay for the Ukraine war and things like that. And the people is like, bro, I didn't vote for this. I don't want this, you know. So they're coming against them in a lot of ways, you know, and ultimately they're going to come against, you know, because we use that scripture a lot for them coming up against the MOTV and things like that, but they're coming up in a lot of ways. That's why the scriptures talk about sedition among men. That's another way that they're coming up. They're the workers. Why is there sedition right now in America? Because of the things that Donald Trump is doing, you know, regarding laws and things like that. People is losing. They don't want it. They don't want it, you know, and they're just seeing Trump doing whatever he wants to do. It says a similar situation, in his words, is in France. There's a very serious political rift there, and I believe that next year will be very serious and decisive after the elections. Moreover, Macron will definitely not be reelected, he explained, adding that Macron cannot run for a third office term. Notice so far he don't say France, he don't say Germany. I see he didn't say Italy because I'm in UK. Those ones right there, they're really, you know, it's like trying to get up out of there, that union. They're looking for other partners, and those other partners, that other partner is going to be Russia, all right, China, things like that. Iran, they are against America going into the war with Iran. America is asking them, can I use your bases over here? They're like, nah, hell no. At the same time, Stefan drew attention to Hungary and Slovakia's position that differs from the European Union's general line, as well as to the statements by the Czech Prime Minister. Obviously, they are more about economic issues. They see that the European Union is not defending their interests, he stressed. Yeah, so that whole thing is divided and collapsing. All right, they're infighting, you know, they're fighting amongst each other. The scriptures talk about partly strong and partly weak. All right, they're weak on their decision making, on things, how they want to proceed, what they want to do. They do have that military might, you know, as a alliance, NATO and EU, and all of that. Which that's fracturing, which is going to play a part in this World War III when America loses. All right, this is Revelation 17 and 12. It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no," and that it plays a part too, because America's asking his allies now, can I use your bases to drop my equipment off? And they're just saying, no, you can't. And the 10 horns And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So these 10 horns are the NATO and EU, and they gave their power unto America. But that's fractured. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the land. Why? Because World War III will take place and all parties will be involved. It doesn't matter which side they be on, whether it be America or Russia, but they're gonna stop fighting amongst themselves and fight Yahweh Shai when he pulls up to destroy all of them anyway. It says, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called, chosen, and faithful, right? And that's the elect. It's like, like, look, Yahushua's pulling up, he's gonna win, and these are my people right here. So we all good. It says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, right? Because this whore, America it runs the world, rules the world, right? It says, and the 10 horns, and that's why I gave you Habakkuk 2, because it doesn't keep at home. It gathers unto him all peoples. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, they shall hate the whore. So we see that happening now. They're hating the whore, many different reasons, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So the scriptures tell us in Ezekiel 38, that war is going to take place. Russia is going to come against America and Israel, with Iran and the rest of them, and many people join with them. And that many people is going to be these NATO nations that's going to turn on them, turn on America, right? Revelation 17:17 says, for Yahweh have put it in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree to and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Yahweh Bashman shall be fulfilled. Going back to that, it will tarry, wait for it will surely come on, not tarry, because Bible prophecy had to come to pass. America had to be that golden cup, had to take over around the world. The NATO and EU had to be formed, for the 10 horns to actually hate America and break off. So now the Most High is like, all right, cool, that the prophecy was fulfilled. You had your NATO and you had your EU. Now they about to burn you up. It says, in the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. All right, Obadiah 1:7 says, we get an NLT. It says, all your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. So that's the NATO and EU nations. All right, so he could ask one of these NATO nations or EU nations, whatever. Hey, can I park my stuff up here? And he's like, sure, go ahead. And then this man tried to get his stuff, and he just can't get it. Wherever the case may be. KJV, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there's none understanding in him. Right? And that's going to that double. Right? They was confederate against us. Right? They cut us off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, they be no more in remembrance. And now guess what? His same friends is about to be confederate against him. And they're gonna be blotted out. Nothing gonna be dwelling in America no more. Right? So Lord willing, you edify from the lesson. Shalom to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.